This is your check-in with Kevin at 7. It is wonderful to be here with you. I'm just realizing I forgot to put in a title. Well, we'll have to do it afterwards. I hope your Tuesday is getting off to a good start. And what I want to talk to you today is 3 letters. B, T, B. B, T, B. I want you to write those down if you have a pen. In fact, I would love for you to write them down in the chat area. B, T, B. Spell my name correctly. BTB. Are you more positively wired or negatively wired? That is my first question for you. Are you more positively wired or negatively wired? That's my first question. Let me know if you would be so kind. Are you more positively wired or negatively wired? Some of you, I can already hear you saying to me right now, I'm neither, bro. I'm realistically wired. My question for you is, when life happens, is your tendency to see the cup half full or half empty? Do you tend to live, some people say it this way, waiting for the other shoe to drop? I'm just noticing my forehead is as red as I got to go play tennis yesterday. And it's my first time in at least 8 weeks. I feel like I'm in confessions right now. Well, first time in at least 8 weeks, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. So, but unfortunately, my head is revealing my whereabouts. So that's my first question. My first question to you is, are you positively or negatively wired? That's my first question. My second encouragement is to write down this 3 letters, BTB. I'm going to get there in just a few minutes. Couple nomad. Askelge. Are you more positively wired or negatively wired is my question for you. And, oh, you know what else I forgot? Oh, there we go. I can't see who you are, but I need to get in here to the chat. No, I don't want to leave the site. I didn't open the chat. There we go. But okay, not to worry. I can still see some thoughts surfacing. So let me ask you this. Positively wired, negatively wired? Let me know. That's the first thing. Second thing is get a pen or piece of paper or your Pion Louis. Did you know that in Ireland, your Pion Louis is your pencil in Irish? Pion Louis. Pion Louis. Okay. B, C, B. This tool, this mindset, will help you respond way better to everything, to everything, to everything. It'll help you respond way better. So let me know, are you positive? Just write positive. Positively wired, or PW, or NW. I'll take it. Letters even. So Have you ever had anyone in your life say to you, "Good morning, Alison"? Have you ever had anyone say to you, "How come you give everybody else the benefit of the doubt and you don't me?" Anybody ever said that to you? Please don't leave me alone. I've had some people say that to me. That's not what we're shooting for, right? We're not shooting for giving the people in our lives no benefit of the doubt. And that's not what BTB means, benefit of the doubt. However, it's something similar to it. Second question. When you don't give somebody the benefit of the doubt, do you feel, or is that interaction and experience with them better or worse because of your perspective? I'm not putting blame on you. I'm just saying, when you bring that into the relationship, into the communication, is it better or worse? For you, in your conversation with them. All right. Here is a way to see this. Okay. Interesting. You can see this. Okay. In between your expectation is what that word is, for the person that you love and their behavior, there's a gap. And you and I put something in that gap. You and I will either assume the worst. You and I will either assume the worst, and if we're not assuming the worst, I want to suggest to you that you are going to believe the best. Are you assuming the worst, or are you believing the best? It's a decision. Assuming the worst or believe the best. Which do you do? Which do you do? Do you assume the worst, or do you believe the best when your expectations for the one that you love or the person that's in your life doesn't meet up with the expectations that you had for them? When they do not meet your expectations, their behavior does not line up with what you expected for them to do, for them to say, what time for them to show up, or whatever the case may be, what is your tendency to believe? And I promise you this, it is a decision. Most often, it doesn't feel like it's a decision. Most often, it feels like it's an automatic response. Assuming the worst. Let me ask you this question. Do you think you love better when you assume the worst? Do you think you love better when you assume the worst, when there's a gap in between your expectations for the one that you love and their behavior? Do you think you're a better lover when you assume the worst, or when you believe the best? Hey Paula, great to see you, sister. I prepare for the worst and I hope for the best. Does that mean that I live in a parallel universe? I guard my heart. No, it doesn't mean that you live in a parallel universe. It means that life has happened. And for all of us, we develop strategies for life, right? Coping mechanisms to guard our hearts. In fact, scripture says, guard your heart. For out of it flow all the issues of life. Proverbs. I prepare for the worst, but I hope for the best. So sometimes my first question was, are you more positively programmed or wired? Are you more negatively wired? Do you have a tendency to lean? And so this would be my question for you, Paula. Anyone really else, right? All of us. What is my pattern? What is your pattern? And it might be different for different characters. When the behavior of the person that you love does not line up with your expectations for them, what is your pattern? Do you tend to go to assume the worst? In your mind, you may not say anything. Or do you believe the best? That is my question for you. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. And the reason why I suggest to you that it might be different for different characters is this. Some of the characters in your story may have hurt you more than some of the others. And a couple of days ago on a live that we did that's called To Believe or Not to Believe, we shared this idea that, look, there's a lot of different characters in your story. And based upon how those characters interact with you, you automatically have feelings that are positive or negative. And not only that, but you have a belief system that develops based upon those interactions. And then you develop coping mechanisms, survival strategies, flesh patterns to cope with life. All different stuff is in here. Henry Ford said, whether you believe the best, whether you believe you can do it, or whether you believe you can't do it, you're usually right. Whether you believe you can do it, or whether you believe you can't do it, you're usually right. So the reason why he said that was because he believes that your mindset matters. Your mindset affects the outcome. If you are living life, and let me just finish this thought. If a character has behaved in such a way that's been hurtful to you, you're going to feel hurt. And you're going to believe, potentially, they're not safe. And you are going to either withdraw, escalate, disconnect, or something else like that. With that character. But the danger is that if you conduct yourself in such a way that your justification for assuming the worst is, well, they always let me down. There's a belief that drives behavior. Good morning, Red. There's a belief that drives behavior. And so If you automatically assume the worst about the characters in your story, then you lose the ability to be able to do that with everyone because you only have one heart. And so the dangerous thing is really, I'm going to suggest to you that 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse number 8, challenges us to believe the best. 1 Corinthians 13 is the love chapter, yeah? And it has all sorts of characteristics about love. Love believes all things, love hopes all things, love endures all things, etc. In verse 8 of chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians, the thought that love believes all things. I want to ask you this question. When you hear the concept, love believes all things, love believes all things, what do you think? For you, for your life, for the people in your life, love believes all things. How does that sit with you? How does that sit with you? With the people in your life, how does that sit with you? Love believes all things. I'm going to tell you. First time I read it and really thought about it, I'm going to tell you how it sat with me, but I want to know how it sits with you. How does it sit with you? Let me know in the comments. How does it sit with you? When I first started to think about love believes all things, love believes all things, it just kind of seems a little bit naive to me the first time through. To really think about it, actually. Gullible, naive, foolish, an unchecked brain. And yet, when it challenges us to believe the best, when it challenges us to believe all things, you see, our Father knows that when we set our minds to believing the best, to believing all things, He knows that we better love, that we're better lovers when we're believing the best about the characters in our story, on the way to finding out why, between my expectations and their behavior, did we not connect? What was going on there? Well, when you choose to believe the best about them on your way to finding out the truth, you tell me, do you love better or do you love worse? If you choose to believe the best about the character in your story on your way to finding out all the data, all the details, do you love better when you believe the best? I want to suggest to you, you do. You are a better lover when you choose to believe the best as opposed to assuming the worst. For the longest time, I'm going to tell you, in my life, it felt like an automatic response. What do you mean, believe all things? 1 Corinthians 13:8. What? Believe all things? Like, do you have any idea of the water that's come under my bridge with this person? Believe all things. It doesn't say, check your brain at the door. It doesn't say, ignore all of the signs that are red flags that are waving. It doesn't say that. It just says, maybe. Yeah, I love that, David. Yes. Assume my wife has the best intent and wouldn't or isn't trying to willfully hurt me. Yes, that's what believing the best is. Yes. And when you believe that about her, when you believe that about the person in your life, your heart's more open. Yes, you are a little more vulnerable. Yes, because love is risky. Yes. But you are more alive. Yes. When you are assuming the worst, which rubs off of a bit of anger maybe. Yes. Your heart's closed. Your mind is closed. Where your mind goes, your energy flows. So is your mind going in the direction of openness to the one that you're with, or is it closed to them? Because they cannot experience love from you if you're already judging here, and they've been tried and found guilty before this. Yeah, before we've even said boo. So it is not an automatic response, even though for many of us it's felt like it. The moment you start becoming conscious and heightening your level of awareness about choosing to believe the best, you will change how you interact with the people in your life. It doesn't matter who it is. And they will receive the best of you. All hell doesn't want them to receive the best of you. They will receive the best of you. And I know if you were asked a question, if I was asked a question, hey, do you want to give your best to the people in your life, the people that you say you love? Of course, the answer is yes. Then today, your daily fuel, your daily dose, is that you write down BTB everywhere and anywhere you can until it is ingrained in you. And even when it's ingrained in you, then you find other ways to remind yourself to do a self-check like we talked about yesterday. Am I continuing to choose to believe the best about the ones that I love? It is so subtle, but it changes your relationship. It changes the spirit that you share. I have 4 kids. Each of them have their own unique personality. And depending on what's going on, if I'm not careful, I can put a filter over my perspective of what's going on with them. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse number 8 says, love believes all things. It doesn't give us, but if they have this personality type, well, then you don't have to believe all things. You don't have to believe the best about them. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say, well, Daly, see him? He's had a lot of water under his bridge, so he doesn't actually have to believe the best. He gets a bit of a pass, and occasionally he has permission to assume the worst, because that character in his life has really done him wrong. No. He says, love believes all things. Maybe it has to do with believing that, like you said, David, a second ago, the heart of the other person is good. And so I don't believe that they would set out to intentionally hurt me. This is a good filter. This is a good part of your beliefs that you want to have when it comes to relating to the people in your life. They didn't wake up this morning thinking, well, how can I get under his skin? Is your tendency to believe the best or assume the worst? That's it. One thought for your daily dose today. One thought. To fuel the relationships in your life. Ask your Father to help you believe the best today about the people in your story, and watch what shifts. This is not about them. This is about you and me. Watch what shifts. And can I encourage you to sprinkle this amongst your friends and your family, so that others can also be challenged and encouraged. It blew me away when I started to become more aware that I have control over this. I have control over my mindset. Blew me away. And I'm going to tell you this. The behavior of the other person in the past didn't change, and still what happened still happened. But you bring a better version of you into the equation, and frankly, a lot of times you contribute to a better outcome of whatever is going on in the moment as well. So I am pumped about you believing the best. Throughout the day, I will be jumping back on and doing a few more lives, because today is a global campaign about giving now. And so just in the midst of this pandemic of the coronavirus, nonprofits all over the globe are asking folks if they would be so kind as to contribute what they can to help us facilitate our response to those who desperately need it. I read this morning in China, record high applications for divorce have been applied for after the stay-at-home directive was lifted. I don't want that to be the same here. But what we do know, what we are seeing, is that there are a lot of people that are struggling with anxiety, are struggling with what this has, how coronavirus has affected them, not necessarily physiologically, but mentally, emotionally, physically. And so my encouragement is that you would contribute, that you would do your part in helping us reach more people with the love of Jesus, with a healing touch from the great physician, the lover of our souls and the healer of our hearts. Good morning, Dolores. Good morning, Paula. Good morning, David. Yes, you cannot control the other person. You can only control yourself. And so am I being self-sufficient and self-dependent, or am I being Christ, believing that Christ is sufficient, depending on him? Yes, yes. Hey, Allison. And I can't see the others, forgive me. But hey, let me just say that is what your daily dose is for today. Thank you so much for sharing a wee bit of your morning. If you're catching the replay, click on the link and donate if you can. Help your Irish brother and his team minister to a lot of people. Yesterday we had a single mom with two boys request some assistance to help her counseling from a Christian perspective be affordable for her. And then it's not that the rates that we have to charge are exorbitant, but sometimes people are just in dire need. 30 million people in the States signed up for unemployment. 8 million companies, supposedly, in the next few months may not make it. 8 million, up to 8 million. So there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of fear. And yet we're encouraged by our Father that perfect love casts out fear. So will you help us share that perfect love with folks that Father has prepared to receive it? And we will thank you in advance. All right. God love you. God bless you. May you feel his favor today, and may you know his peace. And may you believe the best about the characters in your story. And gang, sometimes the biggest one is you. Sometimes the biggest character that you and I are challenged to believe the best about is ourselves. If we can help you with that, give us a call at 800-910-5060. Send us an email at info@brokenchains.com or text us at 678-608-2111. We would be delighted to jump in the trench of your life and help you dodge the bullets that are trying to take you out. Until then, may God's favor rest upon you. May you know his peace, and may you believe the best. Take care. Till next time.